Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
Steve, how are you?
Doing well, Tim. How are you?
Not bad. A little tired, but
A little disappointed that it rained last night beautifully, and then now all the rain that was supposed to come for the rest of the week is diminished to 15 to 10%.
yeah. So the first storm was at the land. We're moving dirt, and which I'm trying to move dirt up front. You've been hearing this for a long time. It's a long freaking process. Wait till you come up next time and see how much dirt's actually moved from when I started to it's. You can really see now. I've kind of changed my
I
mind.
was looking at it every day that I went
Yeah,
over to
it's-
the water. So, I
it's-
mean, I've seen it's
It's crazy how much we've really moved. And so that first storm, I could see it coming through, and I was like, moved a bunch. I was like, Andrew's coming up and just bringing dinner or whatever. So luckily, while we ate, it rained, and it was a short little storm came through. Knocked one little tree over actually across my driveway, just a small like dead one I didn't even know was there. So I had to move that before Andrew could leave. But then we got home last night, so I worked till dark. So I got home at like 9, and holy crap, it was pouring. Which I don't like rain like that because I'm thinking many things. A, the dirt I just put all out is probably washed away, and so there's that. There's what's my garden going to look like because I still have like the upper part that can wash into where the strawberries are. So, and then I'm like my corn was knocked over, you said, when I was on vacation. So all those things go through my mind. And then, yeah, I saw the weather this morning. Like, yeah, it's really not going to rain much more this week. I'm like, what? I want like a nice
know,
soaking rain for a little bit.
if it rained all week, our gardens would be ridiculous.
Yeah. No, that little bit would be just, the weeds would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I wrote you last night.
Yep.
I was like, for every weed that is there right now, there'll be 5 more tomorrow afternoon. So I'm not looking forward because before I leave with Zeta, I'm going to try to have all the rows cleared out so it's nice and easy. If you or Nikki walk through there or whatever.
Yeah, I told her to water it, and Andrew's like, are you going to weed it too? I was like, well, if I have to in spots, but
Nah, you shouldn't have to. Like I got that straw down that I bought from Lucerne Farms or whatever. It has really worked well, especially around the plants. Now the aisles have.
yeah.
If there weren't rocks, I could literally take a mulching lawnmower and it would look nice. It would just be a grass. But because I have so many rocks, I still got to remove.
It's crazy.
So I just weed it
I
instead.
mean, even my garden, literally all that loam come from up front on the field, and majority of the rocks were really didn't have any real rock in it to start with. You know, a few big ones I picked out when we put it in, but I still every time it rains I'll find little ones, and it's just like a never-ending process up here though. Because I think even as my grandparents who had a garden there for years and years and years would always be going through and picking up usually little rocks, but
I don't really mind because I feel like it helps the soil because a lot of the rocks will, like are shell, break apart. It's just nutrients added back into the dirt. But like the like solid rocks, yeah, they need to go. But
The ones that don't like the rototiller, the rototiller don't like.
yeah, I still got one of your blades down
Do you?
Mm.
Yeah, we'll have to grab that at some point, because this fall after
there.
rototiller.
Yeah, I think we got to get a
so-
couple more. They ran out of nuts, right?
Yeah, I think my uncle found some now.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Nice.
so we should be good once that time comes. That'll be later this fall. So, yesterday went after the show and went to Home Depot to get paint for this finishing this job I've been doing. I just brought in this piece of side and like, hey, can you kind of sort of match this? And the guy took it and he scanned it or whatever, and I was like, all right, cool. And Lydia was with me. I was like, have you ever painted before? She's like, no, a little bit with my mom. Okay, you got the same experience I have because I really never painted much. So spray painted tractors and cars or whatever. Done a lot of that, but not house painting. I don't know. I've painted inside even. I don't know if I've ever. I don't think I've ever painted the outside of a house. But I mean, it's not complicated. But so I told Lydia, I'm like, well, you got about the same experience I have, maybe even more. So, and I told the customer, like, listen, I am a demo person. You have it and you need it torn down. I can tear it down. I can do that with the best of them, no problem. I can rebuild a lot of things to a point, but finish work, painting, it's not my thing. I don't have the patience for it. And then Andrea came down. She's like, should have sprayed this, which I originally thought I should have sprayed it, but I was worried about overspray, and because if I had sprayed it, there would be it would look really sharp. And she's like, no, you would have been all right. But Andrew's painted a lot. And our friend Edgar is painting a lot. He painted your house.
I was
He's a
going
painter.
to say Edgar.
I know. I probably should just had him come down, like, pay you whatever, a couple $100.
You might be priced out with Edgar these
That's
days.
true.
I'm glad he helped me out. And
He's a really good painter, and he does stuff. I mean, he works full time for a guy. Then he works 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
He's a good painter, and for something small like that, he probably could have smoked it out fast enough. But it was so hot yesterday that as we painted, like the first coat was dry before we were done painting.
Before you got to the end of the board.
Yeah, it was like holy cow, and so we managed to get the bottom, like a second coat on that. We didn't need a ladder, and then hopefully today we'll go back, finish that, and then I think the second coat's gonna be enough because
Well, the picture you showed me looks great.
it looks good from a distance for sure. Yeah, it looks really good. Up close, you could see the top part that doesn't have a second coat. Like you could tell that it needs another one, but the boards are already primed, the siding, and then the paint I got had primer in it too. So just trying to so it doesn't need a lot.
That's
of
what
extra
Edgar
coats.
taught me last summer was always prime.
Yep.
Like
It helps cover
primer
it.
is the key to like having a nice, good looking finish.
Yep. So I think it's gonna look pretty good when it's done though.
Because we've painted white and it's white on white, but he still primed most of it.
It just helps
That's not all of it, I
bleed
think.
through and stuff. Yeah. No, he's a good painter, and so I went around. I had to caulk a bunch of stuff, and just the problem is it's an old house and things don't line up.
Edgar, when Edgar was here, he'd walk around and be like, "What happened here?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. We just bought the house that looked like that." He knew that I had jacked up some doors, and he just gave me that look Edgar has, like, come on, man, you didn't buy the house with this door looking like this. So he helped me, he taught me some things, and so it's a good experience. So now that he's taught me out of a job, for him, with me anyway, if I have the time. My biggest thing is ladders. I'm not a heights guy.
See, Andrea doesn't like ladders either, because I was just going to send her down to finish it because she paints better than me.
I
But
don't want everybody to think that like I am afraid of heights, but I'm also the guy that went bungee jumping to try to get over my fear of heights. Like,
yeah, and I would never do that, and I don't like heights, but I'm not like ladders and stuff don't bother me too much up to about 2 stories. After that, and then I started to not like it. I didn't like the ladder truck on the fire department because you just totally felt like you could fall through it. If you're wearing an air pack, you can't fit through it, but I almost felt like you could. It was just kind of like, whoa.
at the football drop last year when the firefighters were climbing up, I felt anxiety came over me a little bit, but then I saw him hook himself in after he went up ever so many feet. So I was like, whew, I could breathe because I was, the winds a little bit, and he had nothing, he was just up in the air with no building or anything to.
It's funny they hook themselves in then, but during a fire, you don't hook yourself in. It's so
It's
weird.
probably more dangerous to be hooked in because what if something happens? You might want to
Exactly.
be able to.
and you don't want to be hooked in.
You want to have like freedom of movement.
Yeah,
All plans go to heck a second you try to execute it. So I get that.
exactly. Nothing ever goes as planned, so you have to be prepared. But yeah, so that's coming. I mean, it's coming good. I'm close. I'm really close. I'm being done with it.
That's good though. You explain to the customer, so that gives you the experience to like you could relax a little bit, and you're learning a new skill.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is a million times better than what was there. And when I'm done with the job, I'll throw a little collage together and just put it on the show so people can see, like, oh, hey, look, there's an old rotted
We call it
porch.
like framing Fridays.
Something, right? Yeah, like the porch is all rot. Like it was a couple sections. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna fall through, and I had to take it all down with like my hands and stuff because normally going with the excavator. If she wanted to take the whole house down, which is originally what I thought she was gonna do, and I was all excited. I'm like, all right, cool. This would be I've been out of there. And
Like
I'll
a
be
kid
nothing.
with a Tonka truck.
No, she just needed to take that part off. So it's like, oh, well, which this part, I mean, is it's not half the house, but it was, well, with the porch, it might have been. Yeah, I think with the porch, it was probably half the house because it was weird because it was like an apartment kind of thing, but really small because you can't get into the other part of the house. And it's a really old house, probably early 1900s. But yeah, so we tearing that down. And I told her after because originally I was like, well, just take the porch off and go from there. Then I looked at the roof. I'm like, the roof's gone. Like, I don't know why there's not water pouring in now. And then when we got into the back bathroom, which butts up to the lady's kitchen, it was all wet, nasty wet. And she's like, yeah, she hasn't had that smell in there or anything since you tore it off. I'm like, yeah, I bet it was mold. And so it was
That's
good
good.
that we did how we did it. And then, of course, after I'll tell her once it's done, I'll be like, hey, well, I think they're reassessing anyways this year, but you need a reassessment because your property, your house is now smaller, so your taxes actually should go down because you are being taxed on something that you A, don't use, and B, is not.
Not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. And then Sunday when we got back, I forgot to mention this yesterday, but I had to change the oil in my black truck and I need to do brakes too. So I did I have special lug nuts and I couldn't find the socket for a while. I finally found the socket. It was in the back of the truck. I'm like, I would have left it in the truck because if you get a flat or anything, you have to have that socket. And the only reason I have those lug nuts is because the regular lug nuts will not fit the wheel because I hate specialty stuff like that because if you lose it, you're screwed. So we found it, but I was like, you know what, Olivia, why don't you help me? So she took the oil filter off, got oil on herself, which that's pretty normal. Drained the oil, put it back in. So taught her how to do an oil change.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. So, and she's out there a little while as I changed the brakes to show her some of that stuff.
I'll have to have her come over and change the oil in my Jeep.
She can do it. Little more guidance, but
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's, earn some money, and
it's good for her.
it's a good skill set that we all need to have because the first, because it's been a long time since I changed oil, but the first time I changed it a couple years ago, I had to watch a YouTube video to make sure I was, doing everything properly in the right order, and
Yeah,
it's just been a long time since I'd done it myself, and now that I'm retired, I need to save money wherever I can, and that's.
well, I was
And
like,
it's expensive now for oil changes. Like it's not.
it is. I mean, oil.
I mean, you go to
itself's
like Pronto
expensive,
or something, but
yeah, I usually bring my white truck there. Or if I'm at like First Choice getting work done, I need an oil change. I'm like, hey, change it. I just don't go there for oil changes because I need to be in and out, and usually they're busy with stuff. So
Right.
that's the only reason I like go to Pronto and like my white truck ours runs synthetic.
it's like
and
Pronto's
everything.
like a half or
It's cheaper,
more.
yeah.
It's way cheaper than
Yeah.
going somewhere else.
Now Valvoline, which is in Concord, when I used to live in Concord, I loved going there because you didn't have to get out of the car, nothing, and they literally go through
Like go to a-
everything.
Race car pit stop.
Yeah, like you sit there, and this is before COVID. Like now, you don't get out over Prompto and Claremont. You just sit there, which is what makes sense anyways. Why would I want to get out for 10 minutes? Like, I'll just sit here, it's cool. But Valvoline, you already sat in your vehicle, and they check your lights, they check your tire pressures, everything. They really go through it. You do pay a little more, but for the service, like I used to have an HHR, Chevy HHR, kind of like a Chrysler PT Cruiser, but it's Chevy's version of it. And there was a cabin air filter in the car. He was like, "Can I just check that?" I'm like, "Okay." I never knew there was one in there. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that thing's
You pulled it out. and
really
it's full of
dirty." I'm
dirt.
like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's change that." Obviously it's a way for them to
Yeah.
upsell, but hey, it's dirty. Yeah, all right. Now they always do that with the the air filter. I bring it over and I look at it. I'm like, it's fine. Like most people that don't know, yeah, there's a little bit dirt on it. Yeah, you should upsell it. You should replace it. No, you shouldn't. You put it up to the sun. If you can still see through it, no problem. It's not dirty. Most people would know that, and they're like, yeah, okay. But no, it's a nice service. It's just you sit there. They check your lights. If you have a light
That's
out, they get a
nice.
bulb. Which
My mom was telling me on her Acura that they came. This is down in Texas, in Houston. They picked it up. They drove it to the 45 minutes back to the dealer because it's a fairly new car. It's only maybe a year old, and they took pictures of every single thing. So they're like, "Here's your cabin air filter. Here's this, and then choose whatever you want us to do." Like it was not like necessarily an upsell. Like sometimes you go and they're like, "It's time for your cabin filter," and you're like, "Well, didn't you just change that?" Like,
right.
6 months ago. Like, how is it already dirty? Because it's only got like 3,000 miles on it, and they don't show it to you. Most of the places
Right.
I've been to,
Right.
but it was
Yeah.
nice that my mom, who's a little bit older, had that, and
Right.
I felt safer that she wasn't necessarily being ripped off. Now they could have been taking pictures from other cars, but she didn't feel like that. It was
Yeah, most people are.
a
Especially-
customer service that like you get at Acura, not normally like at a Dodge dealership,
Right.
Because I've generally owned Dodges
No, it's.
or Chryslers.
I mean, I think auto mechanics are so busy nowadays that there's not a lot of that out there. I mean, unless you have a real shady one that is going out of business virtually every day because they're just
Right.
not a good mechanic. Most of them stay so busy that
They don't have time.
they don't have
create-
time to rip you off. This is what you need. If you don't want to have me do it, get out so I can get to the next car because they're pretty busy people and parts
Yeah,
are
and,
getting
and it
hard
pays
to
well
get.
too. By the way, just for
Pays pretty
all
well,
of
yeah.
our, if you're looking for a job, there's
Yeah.
training probably at some of these places because
A lot of
it's-
places are training. A lot of it's basic stuff too, where, like for me, I don't have official training. Like I did auto in school, but I've worked on cars forever. Now my brother's really good at it. I'm
Yeah, I was impressed.
Pretty good at
I came by one day and there was just a cab of a truck sitting there, and then within like a day or two, the whole truck was put back together. I was like, wait a second,
he has.
you ran all those wires, you
It's always been the difference between.
dropped the engine, and I mean, he did it all in like a day.
That's always been the difference between me and him is he has patience, and my dad always said I was a kid too. It's like because I don't have patience, and it's hard for me because like we'll start something and then I get bored with it, and then that's why I have so many projects. He has a Mustang. He kind of did the same thing, and then he never finished it per se. But for the most part, he just gets it done. And if I have issues with vehicles, like I always call him because he's done it more. He just has more patience with it. But I could go like get a job like changing brakes and all those things. They're basic skills that everyone should learn. Like
I haven't changed brakes in 17 years. It's been a long time for me, so I don't know if I'd trust. I'd probably have to watch some YouTube videos and
there's tricks though.
Rumble
Like
videos, whatever.
when Adriano had his Volkswagen, I went through the brakes on that. I'm like, what the hell? You can't. It's a special tool to push the caliper back in, the piston back in. It has to turn, which isn't normal for other vehicles. So little things like that, where sometimes it's like I can do this myself. Except if you have the Volkswagen, you can't. You can. You have to buy a special tool.
Would probably cost more than if you went
Probably.
to get in to get an oil change.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, why does it cost this much?
Or I mean, a brake change.
Right. But a lot of people are like, why does it cost this much? That's crazy, blah, 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 blah. First of all, do you want to do it yourself? And if you do, then why are you here? Go do it yourself. And these people have years of experience. Like a lot of times I'll go to the mechanic. I'm like, hey, Mike or Robbie, I'm like, it's doing this. Like my truck, I hook a trailer to it now. It seems just ballless. It just doesn't have the power it used to have. And I'm like, do I need a fuel filter? He's like, no, they don't have fuel filters in that year. Plugs right now, it doesn't sound like that. So maybe the cat's starting to get clogged. So he's like, bring it down and we'll do a back pressure test on it. And I was like, okay. And like Alicia's car is there right now. She's that Honda Civic. They're driving back from Pittsburgh. And on the interstate, I guess they'd only go 35 miles per hour, wouldn't go any faster. I'm like,
So,
that doesn't make sense. And so they had said, well, maybe it's a fuel filter. I'm like, or Andrew's like, maybe it's a fuel filter. I'm like, nah, because it should just run like crap. It shouldn't even be like a. And then, well, maybe the cat's clogged and blah, blah. So brought it down the first choice yesterday, and he drove it. And he's like, oh, yeah, the cat's definitely clogged. Luckily, it didn't do damage to the motor.
how does it get clogged?
It's probably like not running the gas that you should, or I mean, the car has like 200,000 miles on it too. So
O2 sensor not putting the right.
yeah, it
amount
could be any of those little things. And that's actually what he thinks might be up with my truck. Is he wants to do a back pressure test because maybe the cat's starting to get clogged. 'Cause it's got 185,000 on it now. But instead of just saying, "Hey, let's just do it, just change it," I don't care, because I have a exhaust manifold leak that needs to be fixed. He's like, well, let's check it first. Let's not. They don't like spending my money if I don't need to. He's like, I don't want to throw parts at things. I like to fix it right the first time. And
This is the gentleman we saw at the restaurant the other day?
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
That's at First Choice.
first choice, yeah. And I really appreciate that because, yeah, you're right. I don't want you to just spend my money for nothing. And he doesn't like throwing parts at it. Let's try to figure out what it is before, because a lot of places will do that. All right, let's try this. All right, that was a $500 fix and didn't fix it. Now let's go to that. Now sometimes you have to. You have no choice. I have to do this step A, B, or go through. But they like to really try to. All right, let's.
That's
make
what
sure.
Sunapee Street did. You know, I took the Acura because it sounded like the, I don't know,
Struts.
struts.
Yeah.
And they checked it, so everything's tight, everything looks good. They greased some parts. And they're like, driving around, like it might just be that it's, it's
Is it still doing it, or?
Yeah, it's still doing a little bit.
Nah, I think it needs struts.
You think?
Well, how many miles are on it?
100,000. Maybe.
But it's weird too, because Andrea's mom's Mustang. They've had it since it's brand new. It's a 2007. It's got like 24,000 miles on it. They never really drive it. And I guess Adriano's going to buy it from her because he's been driving it. And so they went to the garage the other day, and the guy's like, well, it needs ball joints and this and that. I'm like, how? It has no miles on it. Like, that's why there's a 36,000 mile warranty or 3 years on every vehicle, because they know nothing will go bad in 36,000 miles. Unless it's a horrible, catastrophic,
36,002 miles. Yes, everything.
Exactly. So I'm like, none of this makes sense. Like, brakes, maybe because they're sticky because it's not, like, driven much, but ball joints, like, that's kind of suspicious. But
Where was that at?
I'm not going to say that.
Oh.
But I won't say that. But just some.
But not the ones we're talking about.
Not the ones we're talking about.
Okay. 'Cause
No.
I've had good luck with
Oh,
Sunapee
no.
Street. That's who Andrea recommended to us a couple years ago, and
No.
Noah and his dad have been good to us.
No, if I had a bad experience more, I'd straight up tell everybody. If it was a legit bad experience, not I was wrong and I should, because I know how it works too as owning a business, and some people just complain about everything.
But I mean, I felt, for me, it was like they checked it, they greased everything,
Yeah.
and didn't see nothing was loose.
I mean, at the end of the day, a strut's not gonna cause some horrible issue for you. It's just annoying, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but like my parents have vehicles. I'm like, why don't you change the struts in this thing? They're bad. Like, it just sounds like horrible. That's what it sounds like to me. But unless it's like completely gone, like it can be hard to tell too. But if you drove it and I don't know,
Yeah. well,
but you drive the car every day too, so that might be very minor for a normal strut, where you're like, that doesn't sound normal to me. Where other vehicles, the strut's gone, and you're like,
That's the other thing I was
crap.
thinking about is like, because it's an Acura, so it's, you know what I mean? It's very quiet normally, and so
Right.
now you hear one
Exactly.
thing, and then you're like, oh my God, something's broke, and it's like, like, welcome to the real world. It's going to make a little bit of a noise when you hit a bump.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
So we got rain last night. I gotta go check your garden out before we leave today. Squash looks awesome.
yeah, like I went back and looked at it yesterday, but all the flowers had closed up, so it didn't look as awesome.
Still,
But you know what I mean?
that
Like,
whole hill's full now.
I know, it's crazy. I put up 2 different trellises out there. I didn't get one in the middle because there was too much growing out already. I didn't want to break anything. And it's already climbing up those trellises, and that's been 5-6 days for those. And it's looking to go up higher than the trellis.
Nice. I'm excited because the pumpkins actually have come up and they're getting big. Not like yours, but I'm still behind. But so I'm like, maybe by fall I have, I won't have a big giant pumpkin, but something hopefully that Adelina could use.
I'm
And-
kind of disappointed my giant pumpkin hasn't produced a pumpkin yet.
Has it gotten big at all?
Yeah, it's crawling out.
That's good now.
My main one, the one that
Yeah.
that I had the 2 other ones that popped up. I moved one. One of them's kind of dying back because I don't really. As I say, you got to water it like a gallon a day. Probably need to fertilize it, but I don't.
You should give me one of those. I'll go plant it literally right in the manure
Okay.
pile. And I'll just make sure.
We'll dig it up today when we go out there.
Yeah. I'll just plant it right in the manure pile.
Okay.
I'm not gonna eat the pumpkin anyways. Not that I think it would matter.
Yeah, I don't know if I kept the package, but I don't know that big pumpkins like that probably aren't for eating. They're
Nah, they're
just
more
for
for show. Yeah.
to go enter into a fair.
Next year we should really try to like have like a contest kind of fun thing. We do like who can grow the bigger pumpkin, and then like, because for me I'm like, we'll use whatever. I don't care if it's organic. I'm not.
Well, if we
eating
do a
it.
competition, we'll at least be out there in May, risking the
We'll
last
have
frost.
to. Yeah. Next year we'll have so many vegetables now that. All right, so I found two new things that were. It's for the same day. So this actually I didn't put the date on, but so a pancake breakfast at the Leominster Fire Department from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 a.m. It's $10 for an adult, $7 for children. Benefits the Leominster Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, which basically benefits the fire department. A lot of times, Ladies Auxiliary like help if there's a fire and like make sandwiches and different things for the men and women that are fighting fire, that kind of thing. Plus, they help with different charity things. So, and at the same day, that night, they're
Which
doing.
day is this?
This is this Saturday. I should pull it up. This, and I guess it's an annual pancake breakfast they do, and it benefits, like I said, the Leominster Firemen's Association. Excuse me, the pancake breakfast is for the Firemen's Association, and you can choose from plain blueberry chocolate chip, and then they have sides of sausage or bacon, and so that's from 7 to 9, and then the same night. This is where I saw it. They're doing pulled pork dinner, which sounds really good, with mac and cheese, beans, coleslaw, and dessert. And this benefits the Ladies Auxiliary, the Leominster Ladies Auxiliary. So the pancake breakfast benefits the Leominster Firemen's Association, and this is for the auxiliary. This is from 4:30 to 7 at night. They're both at the Leominster Fire Department. Same price, $10 for adults, $7 for children. So if you want either breakfast or dinner, and it's for it's for a great cause. So it's right down Leominster, right on Route 10. It's not far from us at all. So
I wasn't saying anything about drinks, so I guess I don't know. Drinks extra or
I don't know. Bring a drink. I'm sure they have something. Usually, they have,
I'm just pointing that out. So like, bring a drink just in case, because it doesn't mention drinks on the flyer.
yeah. I mean, breakfast. I'm sure they have coffee. That'd be very common.
Yeah, they probably have coffee.
Dinner, maybe juice or something. I don't know.
I'm just thinking $10 is reasonable, but then
Yeah.
if it's going to be 12, because you got to pay for the coffee or the juice, you need
Nah, they always
more
include
cash.
that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually breakfast with coffee, juice, and then that would the dinner would be probably
Sodas or water.
something like that probably maybe even coffee too. 'Cause people like coffee. Yeah. Farmers market every Friday 3 to 6 on the Common. We definitely gotta check that out. There's a lot of produce I'm sure down there now. Lots and lots of stuff. Corn, we can get corn. I know we can get corn. Love corn. My corn's coming, but I don't see any. Yours has got corn growing. Mine's still growing, but I can't wait for corn. That's
I
my
had some
favorite
great
besides
corn last
potato.
year. I'm kind of nervous about.
Don't be nervous. She's still going to be good.
I'm going to have some miniature corn.
It's almost like you planted a different corn than I did.
I did non-GMO, where you bought hybrid. So I have one hybrid out there, one patch that's hybrid, and it looks nice and healthy and thick and green, and it doesn't have corn on it yet either. It's more in tune with yours.
It does. No,
we were only
yours-
like a week apart on our corn, or
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yours is weird though. It's really skinny, and then like I don't even know how it's going to hold the corn.
Yeah, it's my uncle told me last year he had a situation with his corn, so I think I have the same situation where it's just.
Probably the best damn corn you ever had in your life.
I hope so. Maybe we'll get a little reverse psychology going here.
Yes. You got to talk positive about your corn.
Oh, I do. I go out there. I'll tell it. You can do it, buddy.
You can do it. You can get bigger, buddy. It's all good. Constant and Common, Sunday 6 to 8. Brian Devinger. Yeah, I think that's right. School board meeting this Thursday, 5 o'clock.
I like Devenger,
Devenger.
but Devenger is probably correct.
Screw it. Call him Devenger. Sounds way better.
Sounds cooler.
Come down to the concert in the Common. Listen to the Devenger. We'll get a message. It's Devenger. Ass hats. School board meeting Thursday at 5. Yeah, the zoning board, I guess they got to push to the 25th. And I'm like, well, I can push to the 25th, but I won't be there because I'll have a school board meeting. So
We have a school board meeting on the 25th.
should be the 11th and the 25th. Twice this month. Once in July.
Hmm.
Well, technically it was twice, but you can check it out.
No, I didn't have it on my calendar, so I need to make sure I have that.
You need to make sure.
Yeah, I'm double checking you, Tim, because I don't have
That's
it on
cool.
my calendar. But I'm not doing it like in a a-hole-ish way. I'm doing it in a.
You would never do that.
Last time I tried to find this, it took me forever. But
No kidding. I thought it was right at the. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, August 11th. It doesn't have one.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. All right. Okay.
Or maybe it's just not on this webpage. I'm
I
sure.
swear they said 2 in August.
Well, originally we had 2 in July, and it was supposed to be 2 in August, but then we ended up having 2 in July.
Yeah.
The web page probably needs to be updated.
Probably. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. No, September 8th and August 11th. Huh. Okay. Works for me. Guess I'll be at the zoning board meeting. All right. Meme of the day. I have 2. We'll go with this one first. My job is to brainwash half the working class into hating the other half. And it's both CNN, Fox News saying the same thing. The divide and conquer strategy brought to you by the ruling class or the elites.
We say that all the time. Like,
Oh.
we're all a lot more common than what the media tries to get us to be.
All the time. Joe Rogan. Big fan. I've always liked Joe Rogan. I liked Joe Rogan before he had a podcast.
I lost a little bit for him when he took the money and deleted episodes, censored himself basically when he moved over and took the.
He doesn't censor himself anymore. At least.
Well, no, but I'm saying like, you know, they took off episodes from his previous. They didn't migrate all over there. They did censor. That's what I
I
just
see.
was a little disappointed in that. I'm not a big fan of censorship.
Nope.
You need to be able to hear what everybody thinks and says, whether it's appalling or anything else, because then you can make sound judgments
Right.
about what they're saying and who they are as people.
Your feelings don't matter.
Yeah, not even about that. It's just, you know what I mean?
Well, that's
Like,
what it is, though.
it's just words. Like, I always thought, you know,
6 and stones will break my bones. 1,000 words never hurt me.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. Like, it's.
We don't teach kids that anymore, apparently. Go
Well, now-
cry in the corner.
Yeah, no, it's you're a victim because your
Yes.
feelings are hurt. Like,
Yep.
it's okay to have feelings, and they're going to get hurt sometimes, and it's not always okay. But it's also not like a reason to keep people from talking. Like,
You're a victim. You are the only one picked on that day wearing a yellow shirt. It should be something that people get angry about. Like, you're effing with definitions in order to pretend that you're doing a good job. And this is pertaining to the recession thing that we now have changed the definition of because it doesn't fit, you know.
yeah, they do that all the time.
Yep. Thus why I've said to you many times that I want to keep the old encyclopedias that my dad has, so as they rewrite history, I can be like, actually, no, you can't rewrite this because it's in his house. And I remember this, and I have this, like, you know. Isn't that sad that we have to, like, think that way? Or, like, I screenshot stuff on my phone so that down the road when someone's like, well, that didn't happen, I can pull it out and be like, I actually know it did happen. It's right here. And then be like, well, I can't find it anywhere.
It's kind of like me defining recession 2 weeks before they changed the definition of it.
Trendsetter.
I don't remember them, and whenever I did that little 2-3 week stint, whatever it was, like I don't remember reading something with a caveat. You know, generally speaking, this is when it is based. You know, it's all just like Rogan's quote there. They're just changing definitions.
Yeah. So those are the memes. Now let's get into the hot story of the day.
What do we got?
So Trump confirms that the FBI raided his residence at Mar-a-Lago. So apparently he was out of town. They came in, went in, brought a safe cracker with them, went through all the safes, took a bunch of boxes. Apparently, didn't even open the boxes, just took the boxes. But so the speculation is that he left the White House with classified materials. Which, how long has he been on the White House now? Year and a half. So other people are saying, well, they're trying so desperately to get it so he can't run again, that there's a section in penal code or whatever that if you are in possession of classified documents that didn't have permission to leave the White House or something, they think they could use that. Because the January 6th thing is just a...
But wouldn't they have used that against Hillary with her
No, she's a...
server?
No, she's a liberal. She's a leftist. She's elite. No. No. Don't you think they would have done something when she left 4 people to die in Benghazi?
So this is why the media can divide people, because it's not equal treatment under the law.
That doesn't exist in this country anymore, apparently. So we now live in a banana republic. The FBI just does whatever they feel like.
This goes back to, again, what I have said about many different professions and anything else, but like journalists, FBI, whatever you want to name it. Like if you're participating in something that is clearly written similar things in history as being negative, like Watergate, raiding the Democratic National Committee.
Trump literally says the same thing that,
Did
yep, he mentioned Watergate and how that all happened. And then you had a president that resigned because of it. And they're basically doing the same thing to him, who, I mean, no FBI agent, they've never raided a former president's place ever. So,
Like, I guess my whole thing is I was always taught, right, because I took an oath and, follow the orders of the officers appointed over me and the, President of the United States, unless they're illegal. It doesn't say that in the oath, but you're taught, unless it's illegal, immoral, or unethical. Does nobody have a sense of morality or ethics or
no.
question, like, has this been done before?
If
Is it like, because couldn't they just go, and I'm pretty sure that...
sounds like Hitler's brown shirts.
A little bit. It just confuses me
KGB.
Because I get it. We all are fallible. I'm not acting like I'm some perfect person that doesn't make mistakes and hasn't done anything bad in my life. But what I'm trying to say is, in something like this, where it's part of your job, like, how do they do this and go home and feel good about themselves? That like they're, I don't know.
I mean, if the FBI wants to, or excuse me, if the Democrats want to continue to defund the police, they should defund the FBI. Because in my opinion, if you work for the FBI, you're a disgrace to your country. I don't care if you're a good FBI agent. The fact you put that badge on every day and what that stands for, like, for now on, I think when we talk about the FBI, I'm just going to call it the American KGB, because that's what the FBI is the American KGB.
That's how it's starting to appear.
It's very much appearing that way. And how many stories do we have? Remember...
Well, it's the FBI is always tracking anybody that does something bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the FBI was tracking this person. Well,
Right.
why didn't the FBI do something before they did something
before
bad?
they shot up and killed all those people?
Which, maybe they tried and the judge was like, nah, you don't have enough. Like, you don't hear about that. So, like, there might be some cases where they've tried, maybe.
Well,
but you don't ever hear about that because, again, it goes back to your meme. They want us all divided.
So, remember back, I don't know, I think it was in 2020, when the governor of Illinois, who's another, tyrannical...
All you got to do
whatever.
is look up the history of politics in Illinois. There's not, like, that's just...
But remember when
it's
that-
fact in its history about the corruption that comes from
Right.
the political machine in Chicago. That's just a known fact.
Way
That's
back.
nothing... There's no bias there. I learned about that as a child, the political machine.
Al Capone was the least freaking corrupt thing probably in Chicago.
Yeah, he was pretty corrupt. But then again, they're telling people what they can drink and everything else, and that's
So,
overreach.
remember when allegedly these 4 or 6 gentlemen were going to kidnap her? Well, there's been no convictions of that.
Oh, because the FBI let it.
Because the FBI basically had paid informants, set the whole thing up, like push for the whole thing. Now the guy that ran that whole investigation now is in D.C. running running stuff down there, and
Yeah, I saw that.
it's amazing.
Was it Cruz or somebody asked him
Cruz.
about that the other day? Was that part of that same?
But he knew nothing about it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't. Like again.
Yeah, Dan
I
Bongino.
went over the whole
Dan Bongino worked for the
He knows. He knows.
in New York City for the FBI. Well, if he worked for Secret Service, but I think it was part of the FBI or something too at one point. But he said they used to pick on the Washington guys because they call New York the flagship, which was, but DC thinks they're the, so those are the two big ones, right? DC, FBI, and New York City. And he says, I can tell you right now, I literally lived here. I've been on Secret Service. He was a New York City police officer, I think, for years too. Like, he's been there. He knows what he's talking about. And he said, every one of those bureau chiefs, like, they know who's in charge. They know everything. There's no, like, oh, I'm not really sure who runs this office. Especially the D.C. office, which is the one and two, New York City and D.C. Those are the two. And you're going to tell me the head of the FBI is...
No, I
Nah.
That's why I went over my whole spiel about in the military. I provided the general with all kinds of information that he would have been asked about our 12 months deployed.
But then some people are like, yeah, but Trump's the one who appointed this guy to the FBI, so it can't be political. Just because Trump appointed him doesn't mean it's not political. Just because Trump appoints someone to a job doesn't mean they don't work for the people they work for now. It's not supposed to be political, first of all.
Yeah, they're like
It's supposed
the
to be
whole problem
laws.
is that we've gotten, as a country, we trust whatever the news people like. We'll sit here and tell you don't trust anything we say. Look it up,
Yeah.
and then if we're wrong, let us know so we can correct ourselves because.
Which we do correct ourselves.
Because we read things and we misinterpret or misunderstand them because we're human and we're fallible. But, you know, I put on a nice suit, comb my hair and a tie, and I sit up straighter and I'm on national TV. That does not make me an expert on anything.
No.
And it's amazing, too. And if you look, you can find the clips out there where every news organization in America will put out the same story almost verbatim. Like, you can find clips where they take them and they basically synchronize it, like, across all of America. Like, so if it's that coordinated, do you really think you're getting, like, local news brought to you with local reporters doing real journalism, or are they getting fed stories by someone, whether it's the headquarters of ABC and Fox, whatever? But you know what I mean? Like, all these places put out the same story with different pauses and inflection because you trust them, because you look at them every day and you're like, oh, this guy gives me, you know, he's telling me what's going on around town. And so you give him trust and authority over what you're hearing, and we shouldn't do that. Like, you're not a political scientist, you know, CNN guy or gal. Like, you know, maybe a couple of them are here and there, but not the ones that are anchoring every night, feeding you full of opinions.
News used to be news. This is what happened today. Now
Yeah,
it's
you
nothing
used to have
but
an
opinion.
editorial section where you could turn to the back and be like, all right, well, this is how they're interpreting it. Now everything I feel like is an editorial.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you look at CNN the way they...
Yeah,
This
we
stuff
pointed
is-
out before, like, you can go read an article off of WMUR and just look at the adjectives they use, and you know exactly what political slant they're trying to put on a story. Instead of just saying a house caught on fire, they'll use that as a reason to prop up the fire department or insult the fire department. You know what I mean? And it's all in the adjectives and the adverbs they use. It's just...
Well, there's two
They just
people...
use language against us, and some people,
Two
you know,
people-
because we trust people. We're like, oh,
There was a mainstream news organization, whatever, that... So there was a lightning strike in D.C. last week, and 4 people were hurt. 2 of them died. So it originally came out as a story as a lightning strike, and then all of a sudden it went to climate change through this mainstream organization.
yeah. Well, you can find articles about climate change causing heart attacks
Yeah.
unexpectedly.
In
now.
young children, probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's all because of climate change. All
Yeah,
right.
climate change. But my question is, so,
Don't sleep on your side, or you could have a heart attack now.
yes, don't talk against the government. You could have a mysterious accident. So the American KGB, and all they honor, and they do their job, and how come they haven't raided Hunter Biden's house yet? Huh.
It's funny that you brought that up because I'm pretty sure yesterday was the deadline for them to turn over their information to, was it the Senate?
Yeah. Or the House Committee or whatever it was.
Well, it's
or-
one of them. Somebody in Washington, D.C., the FBI was supposed to turn over all the Hunter Biden information to.
Yeah. Think that happened?
I don't know, because all we're hearing about is Trump being raided.
Yeah, I bet probably not. I'm just curious how come, like, Bill Clinton hasn't been arrested for being on Epstein's little pedo island.
Well, that's what concerns me about the FBI. So you've convicted 2 people for running underage sex trafficking, and where are all their clients? Like, that's all you got to ask yourself. Like, are you really getting what's going on in this world if we aren't holding people to account that we're utilizing these 2 people's services?
Everybody's known about.
Everybody should be appalled.
Everybody's known about Bill Clinton since the '90s. Everybody's known.
Well, that's one of my
Not the
first-
Epstein thing, but everyone's known about him.
That was one of my first one of my first research papers I did on politics was the election in 1996, the coverage of Bill Clinton versus Bob Dole.
Yeah.
Got a pretty good grade on it. But I took like 3 national newspapers, and all of them, even though Clinton had all kinds of negative stuff going on with Monica Lewinsky and all that other stuff, like you'd have to turn, like there might be a little, on average, you'd have to, I think I averaged it out, but there were more articles about Bill Clinton, which necessarily isn't, that doesn't throw you off because he was the president, but in the scheme of an election year, so not like news about the presidency, but about his candidacy, far outweighed and outnumbered and front and center compared to Bob Dole. So if you wanted to get information on Bob Dole, you'd have to go to the bottom right corner and then continue on page A31, whereas like President Clinton at the time had a whole front page section about his candidacy on average. Like, but I did it over time.
I got to tell you though, so
That's when I became. I mean, I've been in tune to the baloney of the mainstream media since I was 12, around there. And that kind of just like sealed the deal that my perceptions were correct once I just did that and try to take a non-biased approach to it. And anybody can do that. Like, I know everybody thinks we're biased here, but again, correct us where we're wrong. But research anything that we talk about that interests you and find out your own information.
I got to tell you,
But don't trust the CNN or MSNBC or Fox or local station.
The more the government goes after Trump, the more I like him. Because it just shows that if you're so concerned about a guy like that, you're so scared, then apparently everything he says, because if you look at most of the stuff he said, it already seems to come true. It takes a while for it to come out, but everything he says, like he said in 2019, they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in their way. Well, that was proven last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's real simple. Like, oh, but I don't like Trump because he's an asshole.
You think
blah,
they'll
blah,
end up
blah.
arresting him?
I don't know if they'll go that far. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they haven't, as far as we know anyway, made any moves against anything that the Bidens have allegedly done wrong.
Nor will they.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Joe would just pardon them all anyways.
I mean, he could do that.
Does a pardon cover treason?
It shouldn't.
Shouldn't. Treason. Straight up treason.
What do you think is treasonous?
He's selling out our country to benefit his family. That's treason.
Well,
To China, to Ukraine.
allegedly, they have
Allegedly, we'll say, of course.
they have emails, they have denials from Biden where he says he's never met and gotten involved with Hunter's business, but allegedly on this laptop, that's not what it appears. It appears that he's well aware, and they just released something a few weeks ago.
The
where-
logs that from Obama's logs when Obama's president, he was vice president. 14 people that were his business associates, hunters, met with the president or vice president Joe Biden.
Yeah,
at the
so
time.
it appears that they're buying access.
I mean, Joe Biden, his whole life has been a liar. He's been proven. He ran for president 3
Yeah, I know,
times.
like that's
2 times he dropped out for being a liar. The 3rd time he was just.
well, if you believe
the
the
mail-in
polls,
president.
only 32% of the people approve of the direction of the country, and whatever Biden's approval rating is, I wouldn't suspect it's that high, even amongst
It's been
staunch Democrats. They got to
39
realize
forever,
that this
yeah.
guy is destroying their party.
Yeah. But this all comes down to it's a midterm. we need
I mean,
to
you have never
save
Trumpers to
seats.
say he's destroying the Republican Party. So you know what I mean? It's just you got,
I don't care. The Republican Party is just is bad. It's like you got to choose between the insane criminals or the semi
the angry letter writers.
angry, but they're still criminals too.
They don't really.
like-
Yeah, they don't do anything.
Some
They're
of
all
them.
involved allegedly.
yeah. There's some good ones.
Like there's both Republican and Democrats kids who are allegedly both involved with Ukraine, for instance.
Yeah, like Mitt
It's not.
Romney's.
It's not just Hunter Biden. Allegedly, it's other politicians' kids who are
Yeah, Pelosi's.
heavily involved over there.
Yeah. It's funny because I sent you a picture the other day of some celebrity that was meeting with was it Vladimir?
Yeah.
Was it
We had
like-
Ben Stiller like a few weeks ago telling him what a hero he is, and
Well, a friend of mine was in Ukraine like a week ago on the west side in Poland, and there was literally nothing. It was not.
well, in Poland or on the west
No.
side.
She was in Ukraine on the west side bordering Poland.
Okay. Hey,
She's-
I'm just talking because I was just talking about whenever you read articles and you.
Did I speak too fast or?
Well,
read
no,
too
but
fast?
you know what I mean. Like you
So
made it sound like you said she was in Ukraine, in Poland,
no, she was
on the border with Poland.
She was on the
Gotcha.
border of Poland. It was like Lviv or something like that. She spent a week there, and it was a beautiful place. But in that section, at least, they're not at war. Like it's nothing. It's they live their lives 100% normal. That's what she said. Now she said the eastern side is getting bombed and everything. They said that she said 5 hours from where she was a few nights prior, whatever, they had bombed all night. But from what I saw, what she showed there, at least that side, there's nothing. So that makes me wonder if someone goes to the eastern side, what they will really see. Because if it's such a dangerous place, then, A, how come Russia hasn't taken it yet? Because Russia easily could have taken a place. You could have just bombed the, you know what I'm saying? And then you have celebrities coming to meet with him, and then him and his wife were on, was it Vogue, or what was the?
Vanity Fair.
Vanity
maybe.
Fair. Really?
I saw
They're
a
in a war?
disturbing video from Vanity Fair this morning. If it was real, it was Nicole Kidman eating a selection of bugs to try to convince you to eat bugs
Good luck
with
with
chopsticks.
that. That's funny.
And she described, I'll never eat a bug. Mark my words. Unless you throw me in a gulag and that's all I got to eat to survive, then yes. But I'll keep growing my own vegetables.
All right. Then we're going to say, so I want to play this song and break copyright laws.
Well, why would you admit to it?
I don't really
Why
give
don't
a
you
shit.
give them credit? So whenever you roll this, put who it is, who the
This song's
artist
from
is.
Tom McDonald. It's called In God We Trust. And it's got Struggling Jennings and two other people in it too. But the words fit so perfectly to exactly what's happening today. So I want to play this, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
They separate us from our neighbors and they call it social distancing. It's actually a bigger plan. It's called social conditioning. They took away our privacy. There's always someone listening. The elections planning riots for the citizens. The government has always lied. It's history repeating. But the problem is the schools dumb you down so you believe them. If you try to speak the truth inside a tweet, then they delete it. Whole administration Satanists who claim they praise in Jesus. Every year there's a new name for enemies that we're facing. It's Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, and now American patriots. Who would have thought those who love the country the most would be hated on by folks who call America home? Both political parties are equally just as evil. They've been working for themselves, don't give a damn about the people. Black, white, yellow, brown, humanity needs you. Cause united we stand, divided they will defeat you. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Y'all missing what was written in them pages. That was history they wrote, now you wanna change it. You racist, you hate this. Why you want us all to be locked up in cages? I can't stand the left, everything they say's depressing. Ship them to the Middle East, they can learn oppression. Believe me, I mean this quite literal. I love liberty, but I liberals. Wear a mask, stay home, complain and moan. Talk about privilege on your phone in your Range Rover, Starbucks, mango, foo-foo, whatever. The cloth I'm cut from can handle any weather. You just paper in the rain, we ain't the same. Stand for the flag, only kneel when I pray. I just pray we go back to the old days, land of the free, home of the brave.
The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Yeah. I see through all the illusions, refuse to humor rumors or accept that we're losing. Easy to get caught up, consumed by the consumer. Truth is so diluted, people starve off the confusion. Comfort is the killer, your dreams execution. Cool with persecution if I make a contribution. Home of the brave look like a mental institution, and there will be revolution if we can't find resolution. And a threat is a promise, stand up, pay homage. They tell lies, I'm being honest, test the time is upon us. I know that God got us, so I'm fighting in his honor. Hear the cries of the crusaders as we're strapping up our armor. Either set the higher ground or drown in a drama. If I die for what I love, then my death will be nirvana. We fighting for our freedom, don't believe what they've been feeding. Be the change you want to see, the warrior that we're needing.
The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust. We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer. We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers. We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer. We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Just make sure you give them credit. That way, even if we do get struck or whatever, that
Yeah, Nova Rockefeller did the video, and
I mean, we can also type it on there, right? Like,
yeah, we can do that. So Andrew was the one that originally found that song and then showed it me, and I love the song and how true it is that the mainstream media and everything trying to, like, me and you are the problem, Steve. We are the problem. We, with your come and take it flag, the don't tread on me flag, Betsy Ross flag, like, me and you are the problem. We go to school board meetings pissed off because things aren't going the way they should be with our children. We're the domestic terrorists, right? And that's what that song, like, says that. And then basically we don't trust the government. We don't trust the pharmaceutical companies, the mainstream media, because they're as corrupt as can be. And everybody sees it. You know, not everybody sees it, obviously, but I think more and more and more people are seeing it. So they have this song, which is, I don't know how many downloads it has on YouTube and stuff. I'm sure it's huge. But then I said the other day, John Rich has one called, I think it's Progress. And then Kid Rock has a song called We the People, which is really good too. These are big. Like, Kid Rock's a big name. John Rich is a big name. They're actually, they're like, screw this woke stuff. We're done. We're not playing this game anymore. They're literally trying to destroy your country from within.
I mean, so the problem is you can do your research and see this is exactly how communism subverts itself. It started, like, for me so I noticed, like, movies and TV was getting worse and worse. But I'm telling you, and you can think I'm crazy, but for me, the eye-opener was whenever they destroyed Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? Like, people make fun of me and be like, oh, whatever. But when I was a kid, that movie meant a lot to me. And what Luke stood for, like, I don't want to turn into a nerd fest or whatever, but he represented hope. He was positive. He didn't give in to anger and rage and everything else, because that's what, the story arc is to give in to your anger and rage. And he's like, no, I'm not going to. And then they turned him into a shell of a man who lost hope, was, about to, commit murder, basically, and that's not. They took him a long way from where he became. But anyway, what they do is they destroy, cultural hero. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's the same thing with Superman.
yeah,
Superman was created, I think, just before World War One or two. It was the 30s, I believe. And I'm not a big comic guy, so I apologize for people out there like, oh my God, I know all this stuff. Like, but he stood for truth, justice,
in the American way.
in the American way, and they've
Yeah, but they're doing it with all comic book
Yes,
heroes. They
yes.
do it with all video games. They're doing it with Tolkien now on Amazon because under the name of progress, they're like, well, no, you can't really enjoy, and it's not like this. This is a better version of it because you're racist or misogynist or whatever ist you want to put for liking that. And it's like, or if you don't like it, right? So they just canceled, for instance, on the cultural front, Batgirl,
yeah.
because the new guy that took over Warner Brothers is like, yeah, this is way too, because they allegedly, the rumor is they were going to kill off Batman also in it. And then you go back to Star Wars, and then Rey had no real challenge. All of a sudden, she's the strongest Jedi ever through like hearing some visions. You know what I mean? Even like, I get it. Luke didn't really train that long with Yoda himself or whatever, but like, I don't know. And Lucas had always said it was about the it's a Skywalker story, and then they changed it up to where it's not a Skywalker story, really. I never watched the third one because I wanted to walk out of the last one. I guess that would be 9. I wanted to walk out of 8, but I had Zeta with me. And so I was like, I'll stay here. And she was like, we could have walked out. She didn't really enjoy it either, but it really, they destroy things like that. So that's like one front of it, right? So they destroy that. They take away your freedom to discuss things like we talked about earlier on the show. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, like, I don't know. I've had liberal friends my whole life, and we never hated each other that I know of. At least I never hated them. We just had disagreements. But now it's like your meme showed. They try to divide us and get us going at each other, and there's probably a lot more we have in common. Yeah, you might disagree with my religious beliefs or whatever else, but either we can agree to disagree, or unfortunately, one of us is going to have to go somewhere. Or either I got to move to a new state, or you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
But that's why I like the state system, the federal system that we have, is because, like we've talked about before, you don't like New Hampshire's laws or taxes, then you can go find a state that's more
Right.
suitable to your desires and
Well, so
needs.
there's a court case that just came through last week, I think it is, which is just another attack on the First Amendment, in my opinion. So, Alex Jones, who does InfoWars, I listened to him a little bit. It's kind of nuts.
Well, he came on the scene, was it in the 80s or early 90s, because he went and videotaped them burning that big owl out in California, that whole secret society or whatever they have, the effigy of an owl they were burning.
Yeah, so he was saying that Sandy Hook was all a stage thing, and so that he's supposed to have to pay the parents of Sandy Hook $45.2 million in punitive damages.
Isn't that just like one parent? I think
Nah,
they're trying
it was
to
a
like.
class action or something. I don't know,
Was it?
but anyways, the precedent that is scary about that is you are protected under the First Amendment. You can have any opinion you want, and I don't know every little detail of this story. Okay, so I'll put that out there. However, yeah, you're a douchebag maybe for that whole thing, and sure, but your rights are absolute, and so if he loses the lawsuit now, who's next to get sued because you said something they don't want to hear? So,
You?
yeah, me, right?
Could be.
You talk bad about the American KGB, so we're going to sue you because that's not okay. You can't do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'd have to read more about the court cases with Alex Jones. I don't really follow him and know much about
Yeah, I
them.
know.
But it is concerning in the sense of, that's why I throw out allegedly all the time. So, I mean, maybe he didn't throw out enough allegedlys when he was making his claims.
Well, he actually had a man. I wonder if I can find the clip real quick because the clip was lights out, amazing during that court case.
One of the things you've been talking about a lot recently on your show, even within the past couple months, is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
You mean like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
I pray to God I can somehow use that video. If not, I'll have to do it on my phone because that's funny stuff right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, here
No, I
we
don't want
are
any
with
more of
these.
Yeah, that's funny. But anyways, the whole point is it's his First Amendment right to say what he wants.
Yeah, but there's some.
I get it. If it was my family, I'd want to kill the guy. I mean, I get that. But we're on this slippery slope again. They're trying to tell you what you can and can't say.
Well, I think you got to look at it from, was it libel or
Yes.
slander?
You can't just say anything. So you can't say, Tim.
And I don't know
you did
enough
this.
about it, but I'm pretty anybody you can't say anything that you want whenever you have platform, right? So
I can't say, Steve, you did this or whatever, and push it, and not be able to prove it because that's libel or slander. Libel's written, slander, or slander's written, libel's video, whatever. But if he was just bringing theories forward, right?
But did he present it as that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know
I
enough
mean, he lost
to
the
comment.
lawsuit, which, okay.
I
But
don't
I
know,
worry
I
about
don't know
the.
enough to comment on. You know what I mean? Because I don't watch him.
I just worry about the precedent of, once again, more your free speech that we can't say that's offensive, right? I mean, we
But
see it everywhere.
you can say offensive things, but there is responsibility that comes with someone with his reach, and
Think all the things Howard Stern has said, though. And those guys get sued all the time. They usually get thrown out of court, though. I think this one was more of a trigger thing because of the circumstances, which, once again, I understand. But that's not supposed to. Justice is supposed to be blind justice, But, I mean, here we go. Beloved Oklahoma Sooners football coach abruptly out of a job after reading aloud a shameful and hurtful word. A shameful word he read off a player's iPad. And he got fired because he read a word that was on one of his players'
so
iPads.
what was he admonishing them probably for having a post like that? I mean, I don't know the whole story, right? So that's the thing. So the thing with Alex Jones is he has a big platform, and
Yeah, he's not well liked among a lot of people.
right, and so I'm not just because I don't know enough about the court case, but they decided that he harmed the reputation of the parents, or right, like because he was saying that they were not really grieving,
Like paid actors and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. I don't know, for me, it's just a slippery slope. That's the only concern.
Yeah, well,
Because we see it every
you
day.
can't use fighting words, right? So
Right.
you don't really have free speech. I don't know. Do you ever watch 1883, like the prequel or whatever to like Yellowstone?
No.
Well, anyway, it's about the group of immigrants basically heading down the Oregon Trail, and the Oregon Trail was horrible. Most people didn't make it, and so these immigrants, I want to say they were German. Yeah, anyway, they're from Europe. A lot of them couldn't speak English, and the guy they had hired, it's I don't know, the guy with the mustache that was in, what's his name, Sam?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Not Sam Shepard, but
No.
Sam
Elliott.
Sam Elliott. So they hire Sam Elliott. He's like this old, grizzled, former Civil War guy, and he's like yelling at these guys, and he's telling them what they're going to do and where they're going to bed for winter. And the one guy who speaks English, it's the translator, is like, "No, man, it's America. We're free. We can do whatever we want." And he grabbed him and he gave him a nice little speech about freedom. It's just like, you can't even survive on your own without me. You don't have freedom yet. You can't handle real freedom because, free like that back in the day was freedom because you had to survive. You didn't have anybody watching over you, protecting you, telling you that for your safety. Like, he was that guy that was like, for your safety, I'm going to make sure you get there and then you can have all the freedom you want. But until you get there,
You're my responsibility.
You're my responsibility, and you don't have those freedoms yet unless you can. He's like, you can go by yourself. You're probably not going to live, but, enjoy that freedom. But while you're under my watch. Anyway, it's a really good speech. And I think it kind of just sums up, like, true freedom, when you have it, is an awesome responsibility. And in this case, he has a large platform. And that's why we say allegedly all the time, because if we don't know enough about it and we need to do more research, or for our
Right.
viewers or listeners to go do research.
But just because you have a large platform doesn't mean you have less rights than anybody else.
Yeah, but
You
still
may have more
can't-
responsibility
you
in
still
a
can't
way.
defame someone in a sense that it hurts them, right?
Right.
So, like, I think it's just one family. I don't know. It could be a class action because, I don't know enough about it, but I'm pretty sure.
Originally, I just brought it up to just
But
mention
like
it.
you
not
said, like
even-
if you were, if something, God forbid, happened to you on any level, and then he's sitting there and he's saying, "Yeah, it didn't really happen to Tim. That's an actor. He's a Fed, whatever." Or, he works for the FBI and he's just posing like this is just to rile you up. And then everybody in town's like, forget you, man. You're just a Fed, whatever. Then you lose your ability to get a job. You lose your reputation. And
which
so,
could open you up to a lawsuit.
right. Which is what happened in this case. Now, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so now if you have my thing is like, you're going to destroy this guy's entire career because he did this? Like,
Well, that's what they do now.
right.
For a lot
It's
less.
cancel culture
Yeah.
in this sense because they're going to cancel his whole
Right.
livelihood. I wouldn't suspect. I don't suspect he's worth more than $45 million, or maybe that's all he's worth. But right, because it wasn't the settlement.
Yeah, $45 million.
And it might be more than that because I think there were 2 different judgments against him.
I thought that was another lawsuit.
It's like personal, and then again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not. I'm not necessarily defending anything, but I'm saying is that it's like
total net worth $40 million.
Yeah, so they're basically
Supposedly.
canceling him out, so he'll be destitute for
Yeah.
this. And who's to say they're not adding? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. Who knows? But I just look back, like, we talk a lot about Uvalde. So if someone with a bigger platform talks about it, it's like, now we obviously don't say that it didn't happen. We don't talk about the parents. We just talk about the police department and all that stuff. But
Yeah, the failure of communication,
Right,
amongst
which
400 people while a
would be
young lady is
kind of hard in court.
child is calling 911.
Yeah.
It's just hard to believe that communication between that dispatcher.
Was there hand sanitizing in the hall as shots were going off? You've been in a war zone before. Have you thought about hand sanitizing if you were getting shelled or artillery shelled or anything? Or were you thinking about, man, I really want to get home to my family, or I need to get this mission done? So that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't happen.
I don't know if we can equate that, but yeah, like I don't know if those images are real. That's disheartening as a father, as a citizen of this country, to know that those that are paid to protect us are sitting around while horrible things are happening on the other side of the
I
door.
mean, they legit screwed up worse than the American KGB. That's sad today. Anyways,
You gonna stick with that?
American KGB? Yes, I am. 2 other quick things just before we close the show up. But Democrat lawmakers are urging people to back GOP Liz Cheney in Wyoming Republican primary. I think that's funny.
Well, that just proves the dual party system is really
Not true.
It's
Then why did she turn to be a Democrat then? Then be a Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, there's Republicans or Democrats that switch to Republicans. I mean, it happens every once in a while.
She'll
Like,
be gone, though.
Well, I think she's like 20% down.
I'm pretty confident she'll be gone. Trump's like 135 to 10 or something on people he's backed or something. It's insane. Like, it's pretty crazy. And then some bad news out of California for, all these California people. But a California judge rules that only citizens have a right to vote. I bet that judge will lose their job because that goes against the, thinking of California.
Yeah, that's just an assault on the Constitution. Either you believe in what our country stands for and we have shared values, or
Move to another country.
you're a Marxist communist.
Yeah, true story.
I mean, I'm being somewhat facetious, but it's basically becoming we don't want it to come to, I don't want it to come to that. I don't want us versus them. I want it to be us versus them in the sense of all of us regular common folk who have common ground, which is we're being taxed to death right now while inflation, during a recession. It's just crazy.
Nah, it's not a recession. All right, my positive immune today. Frederick Douglass. The man's rights rest in 3 boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. All right.
It goes back to that 1883 quote, basically.
So I got you this in Pittsburgh, and I forgot to give it to you yesterday, and then I forgot to give it to you at the beginning of the show. But sometimes it takes me all day to get nothing done.
Hey, that's perfect for me.
That's what I thought. Don't worry,
You know what
I
one of my
didn't-
favorite songs is? I'm in a hurry to get things done, and I don't know why. Because I'm not in a hurry to get things done anymore. I used to be. And now I just take my time, just like this.
There you go.
This is like sums me up beautifully.
See, I saw that, and I'm like, boom. That's all.
Sometimes it takes me all day to get nothing done. Did Nikki see this yet?
Yeah, she laughed and said, "That's so true."
That is my new lifestyle that I've chosen to live.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not in a rush to do anything. You got to enjoy life. I
Yeah.
was talking about it with my dad last night. Like, I really need to study astronomy better because I've been noticing the moon. Sometimes it sits in one place, and other nights it'll pass over pretty quickly. And I'm sure there's a common explanation for it, but I just can't pull it off the top of my head. That's kind of like I get distracted by going and I'll do research. Like, that would be my next project to research, especially as I drive out to Montana. If Zeta takes the wheel every once in a while, I'll be able to. The night sky out there as we get further west, it's going to be so beautiful.
That's the thing. When was the last time we all just looked up the stars and just the amazement of it? Like at my house and at my land too, you just look up and just. When's the last time you just looked up at the stars?
I do all the time. Like the Big Dipper has been
Yeah, it's
over
pretty cool,
here, and I feel like it's just like scooping up into my backyard, into my tree line there. It's just so awesome. I look at it almost every night that the clouds aren't here anyway.
You ever notice the beautiful astrological things, events that happen that, this comet's coming by and you'll never see it again in your life, or this is happening and you'll never see it again.
We still got to get that video of whatever Zeta shot.
Yeah,
Either
we could do that.
A shooting star, meteor, whatever you want to call it, or the comet, because there was a comet, but it didn't look like the comet.
But have you ever noticed in the Northeast, every time those events happen, once in a lifetime, if you get up at 3 a.m. and look out, you'll see this. It's always freaking cloudy.
Yeah.
Cloudy.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, every time I set my alarm or
Like,
go out,
I look, I'm like, where is it? I guess if I had an airplane and get above the clouds, I could see something. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching our show today, and
maybe we'll be back tomorrow.
maybe we'll be back tomorrow. I do not feel suicidal. I do not have any information on the Clintons. Epstein didn't kill himself. Let's go, Brandon. Wore my Ultra MAGA shirt today to piss off people, because that's what I like to do.
Yeah, but you're not even a Republican.
That's true. I'm a patriot. Although I was told I was not really a patriot by somebody, which I find funny.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm not. I think I'm a patriot, but I'm not really a patriot.
What constitutes a patriot in this person's eyes?
Probably a communist or a Marxist or socialist or something like that.
I mean, we're all kind of, we said it before, we're all kind of socialists. We have a lot of social programs in America, so there's some social programs that we have.
So what makes a patriot? You love your country, right?
Love your country,
What it stands for,
what it stands for,
the Constitution, the
believe in
founding,
freedom.
believe in freedom. Yeah, I think that sums me up. I think he should become a patriot in another country,
Well, let me,
like China.
yeah, let's see. I just, real quick, the
You know, one thing too, I wanted, and I didn't mention this when we played that song. Eddie mentioned that if you really want to feel oppression and go to the Middle East, I want to encourage everyone of you out there that feel you're so oppressed, go to the Middle East and see what real oppression is. Ask that Brittany girl that's in Russia right now, that, you know, kneeled for the flag and basically didn't like the United States. She'll have 9 years to think about how much she loves the United States. I mean, unless we trade her for some Russian arms dealer, but, you know, what'd you find?
A person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interest with devotion.
Yeah, that's me.
A person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government.
That's me too. So the person said a non-patriot, fuck yourself. On that note, thanks for watching. We don't see you around town. We will see you tomorrow.